Yes, Hickok 45, your internet shooting companion, coming to you from the beautiful hills of Tennessee with a Model 94 3030. Yes, Tennessee, the home of Davy Crockett. How's that? Davy Crockett. You think he ever carried a Model 94? 1894 Winchester, 3030 caliber, 3855, whatever. You think he did? Well, some of the producers of Westerns might, because they get it almost that wrong. I don't think anybody has ever portrayed Davy Crockett or Daniel Boone with a Winchester. Hopefully not. Wow. I wouldn't doubt it somewhere, some C-grade Western, but they are almost that bad because, wow, you're liable to see one of these, a Model 94 Winchester, almost in any Western movie, really. When I say Western, I'm talking, I don't know, 1860s even, up through, 1900 or something, or any time after that. But, newsflash, the Winchester 94 came out in 1894. Okay, that's almost 1900. And the 1892 Winchester, the Model 92, which is the other lever gun that shows up in every Western, it and this one, it came out, guess when? 1892. Yeah. And I like to point that out occasionally. Just most of you know that, and you understand that the Westerns get it really wrong with the lever guns, in probably 90% of the cases, at least, I think. Most of the Westerns, the series, whether it's the Rifleman or Tombstone the movie, or just name them. We could name 100, 200 movies that we like about whatever, Wyatt Earp or Billy the Kid, all those movies. They mostly take place in the 1870s and 1880s, right? 1870s, 1880s, before either one of these rifles was invented. Now there were lever guns, of course, but they should have been carrying an 1873. Generally, most of them. That was very widespread. Just the ubiquitous 1873. Once it came out through the second half of the 1870s, and then 1880, and right on up, the thing was very, very popular. It was made up through 1923, right? Very, very popular, and but not in the Westerns, just in real life. I mentioned in the 1873, I guess it was in that video, the celebration of that 150th anniversary. Well, maybe I did. I know I have mentioned during those videos with the 1870. There was something about the 1873 that was not conducive to being used in Westerns, and the blanks and everything, because a lot of them were made before CGI. Now, I don't know, they rarely use blanks. They just computerize in, what's the verb? They computerize in, CGI in the gunfire, the sound and the blast, don't they? But yeah, even in the movie we were in, the zombie movie, with the Henry rifle, I had real brass coming out, but they CGI'd in the gunfire. But back in the earliest Westerns, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, I guess, 90s. I don't know when they started using CGI pretty regularly, but they did fire blanks, and so my suspicion is, could be there were not as, I don't know, the 1873s weren't as available for the movie, the theater, the movie studios, the rental places. They weren't as maybe durable. I know a lot of them were black powder era guns. Maybe they were afraid to fire blanks in them. Hot blanks. Those blanks are hot, some of them. And I don't know how much pressure they generate, but I don't know, maybe something about that. Or possibly, one of the suspicions I have is if you're involved in movies or the Westerns, you would know the answer maybe to this. This might be a simple answer, actually. Maybe I should Google it. I don't think I ever have. For a while I thought maybe it was a chambering, but many of those 92s Winchesters were in 44-40, and so a lot of the 1873s were in 44-40. So the caliber should have been okay as far as making blanks. Whoever's making the blanks, I can see how whatever the most common blanks were is what maybe everybody's looking for a lever gun chambered in. But if it's 44-40, and it must have been a common blank, because the 92 was chambered in that, and of course the 1873 both. So I don't know. In the 94s, so many of them were in 30-30. So it's interesting, a lot of those show up. So they're blanks made in 30-30, I guess. I don't know. Just something to think about. Ponder. Something to ponder. Oh man, don't forget I'll be at Uncle Lee's in Greenville, Kentucky on the 23rd of this month, okay? Coming right up in September, 23rd at 11 o'clock. So hope to see you there. Saw a lot of you last week at Bud's, and it was a great turnout, man. It was Sevierville, Tennessee. Appreciate everybody coming out. Met so many of you for hours and hours, and talked to you, and crazy pictures and all sorts of things. Someone showed up with I need to post those on Facebook. The video with me riding a bicycle, shooting the Uzi off the bicycle. Someone had that made into a pillow kind of thing, and all this. And wanted me to sign it and all that sort of thing. So, but anyway, it's humbling. So many people still showing up after all these years, many as ever, and it's neat. Again, it's humbling. I got to the gun shop at least 30 minutes early, and they were lined up around the corner, out the door, and I just, wow, who are those people coming to see? And it's just, my first inclination is always, oh man, I got to get up there, and rather than start at 11, I need to get on up there or they'll all leave. Really, that's my first thought. Like, my gosh, these people in line, and I don't want them to just leave, and not wait, because I've got a couple of brilliant things to say, and then we'll sign and do. But I went in earlier than, actually I was there about 10:15, I guess, and because there was a gun I was going to buy, the FN reflex. I had seen they had one in Flat Dark Earth the day before, and I stopped by the day before, and I thought about it that night. Do I need that gun? The more I thought about it, the more I realized I needed the FN reflex. So I'm going to go in early. I'm going to get it. It's not cut for optics or anything. I should have brought it and shot today. I didn't to shoot today, and I said that's perfect. I'm not going to put an optic on it, and I'm not trying to save a buck. They just had one in Flat Dark Earth, and it did not have the optics, and I had decided I thought I'd get that color, and so anyway, I was going through all the process of buying that, and then jumped up and said a few things. When we advertised at 11, I didn't want to start too early. It's not fair that people show up at 11 o'clock or 10:59 or whatever. So, but anyway, it was great. Went into the afternoon and met a lot of you, and so I really appreciate you coming out. There I am at a gun shop. Had to buy a gun. And I'll tell you, there's no hope. And I'll see you at Uncle Lee's, like I said, in Kentucky. That's the last in the series for this fall. The meet and greets. Appreciate everybody's help. Gosh, well, it's kind of a bait and switch, right? You saw in the thumbnail, maybe this firearm. And then when it opened up, I'm shooting an old Winchester. Yeah, these are the two I was in the mood to shoot. I really was. I was very selfish today, even more than other Sundays. Been firing a lot of interesting full automatic stuff in the last few weeks. A lot of it not posted yet or whatever, but M60, AK, M16, and other firearms, revolvers. It's just amazing the variety that I get to shoot and enjoy. And man, what do I want to shoot? I'm gonna something calm, something old school, and that often happens on a Sunday, doesn't it? And there's a couple of guns I could have brought out that were, newer ones that we have from buds or whatever. But I'm gonna get out this old Winchester. I haven't fired this 30-30 in a long time. Made in 1929. I think we did a video on it soon after I bought it, about 3 years ago. But isn't that a beauty? 1929, 30-30. I think it's a pre-64 Winchester. I'm not sure. I'll do the math on that, right? But isn't that beautiful? The patina, the wear on that thing. Look at that Winchester. Can you read Win? There you go. Now you can read Winchester. Winchester. This is a Winchester back when Winchester was Winchester. It wasn't just a name brand that was purchased or sold or whatever, okay? This is Winchester, and let's see, let me remind myself. Da, 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 da. Oh, yeah, New Haven, made in New Haven, Connecticut, okay? The real Winchester, New Haven. And this is 30-30, and it's a beaut. It's a beaut. It's one of my favorite rifles. 30-30 doesn't lend itself as well to just going out and plinking 100 rounds, right? Like a lot of these firearms do, these old Winchesters or modern Winchesters or Henrys or whatever that might be chambered in 44-40 or 45 Colt or 357 Magnum or 38 Special, basically in a pistol round. 30-30 I think is a rifle round. And you go buy a box of 20 of those, they're not cheap, and they're fairly powerful, and so it's just not as much a plinking round, not as for me, because I plink with 45-70 and everything, but not as many rounds. So yeah, just a gorgeous octagonal barrel. Really like that a lot. Oh, and I got some 30-30. I got some 44 Special. I was in the mood to shoot some Special ammo today, so I got out a 4-incher instead of a longer 44. And I got some. Gosh, I got a variety. Before I get into this gun and shooting it, Alabama holster. Guess what? I am wearing 2 Alabama holsters. Can you believe it? 2 of them. Yeah. One of them is in my pocket, and the other one is on my belt. Guess what gun I have for it? Neither one. It's, I don't know if you can see it, but it's a phone. I'll back up. My phone. Yeah, my phone. It's great. I have avoided phone holsters. I don't know if maybe I did like a decade or 2 ago. Have a kind of a holster for my belt. I think I did. It had one that clipped on my belt. That's right, when I was teaching. But I just have never really liked holsters for my phone. I stick them in my pocket, my shirt pocket, my pants pocket. I try to keep one pocket without anything destructive in it, change or anything that would scratch the phone. But your shirt pocket's always right there. Problem is, I broke a screen several years back. And then recently, if I told you this, it's been 3 weeks maybe, I've been over at the post office to check a tire. So I was coming out of the post office, I was on my tire. I've been that thing went out, plop onto the ground, onto the pavement, and it hit a pebble or something. I didn't have a very good cover on it. It broke, shattered the screen. I mean, it still worked, but it was really shattered badly, the whole screen. And I just got mad. I got mad. I said, I'm gonna have to do something different. I'm tired. And the thing is, I drop my phone all the time. You probably do too. And they're so durable. They'll bounce around. They never hurt, seems like. So there's no telling how many times I've dropped my phone or slipped out or something. but boy, it fell out, just hit perfectly. And okay, I gotta do something. I gotta start wearing a funky holster or something. You know, get a necklace, a chest holster, something that's really handy that I just can't break my phone. I'm tired of doing that. Anyway, I did. Well, it didn't occur to me for a little while. Then it did. I remembered, oh, that's right. Alabama Holster makes phone holsters. And I went and looked at them on their site. I thought, yeah, that's pretty flat against the body, you know. I mean, I see people with some kind of phone holster contraption that's dangling on their belt, and you know, you knock it on every door you walk through. It looks like. But then I looked at it, you know, well, those might work, but I didn't see one for my phone. It's a Google phone, and I wrote to them and asked them about it, and they made me one. They wanted to know what cover I was going to put on it and all that. I figured out what cover to put on it, and Otter Creek, OtterBox. I think they tailor their holsters to OtterBox covers, protectors, whatever. And so I got one of those. It's a two-piece thing. It's pretty good. And I mean, I think. And so I let them know, and they were in process of, you know, making them for this one too. So they made me one, and so, you know, here I am. I've got a holster. Didn't think I'd ever go to a holster because I've gotten by with my pockets, you know, really, really well. But it is nice because I listen to a lot of podcasts, and either through your phone, I typically use the Bluetooth thing, but you know, just around doing stuff. And so I can start a podcast or a video that I don't need to look at, and I'll just put it in my holster, and it's not going to fall out. When I could do somersaults, I think it's not going to fall out. So anyway, I don't know. I'm trying it out, and I like it so far. I mean, it is. I don't know if you get a better one, but in terms of using a holster, that's a new thing for me, and I realized I'm not going to find a better one. It's interesting. I wrote to them. They asked me what right or left-handed. I thought, well, you're right-handed. Well, now wait a minute. If it's over here, it's in my way. Maybe. Guess I have to draw down on somebody, you know, or whatever, you know. And so the more I thought, well, it needs to be on my left side, you know. And so that's why it's on my left side. You pull it out. I did get pretty good. I am pretty good. I can use my thumb, you know. One advantage of having big hands, I can, you know, just dial and do everything with my thumb, basically. And so I could, but still, left hand, it works best. Anyway, enough on that. But I really thought that, oh my gosh, this phone was not cheap. And one drop. But I had the insurance, covered it, got it fixed in a couple of days, and so it worked out pretty well. All right, enough drama about the phone. But anyway, I was reminded. Yeah, so quite often I will be wearing two Alabama holsters now. And it's not a fake gun holster. You know, you've seen those where it looks like a phone holster, but it's actually a concealment firearms holster. Okay, what do we want to shoot? Well, it's time for some 44 special, isn't it? You know what I have too? I was going to shoot some, well, I'll shoot some of the Steinel ammo, but I got a box. Look at that. Remington. Look how old that is. Let's see if there's a price on it. I've had that in the barn forever. Oh yeah. Oh, get this. Wouldn't you like to be able to go buy a box of 44 special? Because, you know, it can be very expensive. It's like buying 44 Colt, isn't it? This is a box of 50. Tells you how old this is. $17.25. At some place called, looks like Medley's. It's about worn off there. So yeah, $17. I'd take all that I could get when you. But this has been in the barn forever, and you know, ammo tends to last. Oh, there's some silver tips stuck in there too. I forgot in that box. I'm gonna try it. What's the worst could happen? Blow me up, you know? Nah. Now you wouldn't want to go to a shooting match, a bullseye match with ammo that was I don't know, 30, 40 years old, been out in the heat and cold and all that kind of thing. You might get some inconsistency there. Let's try it on that target. See if it's accurate. Wow, bullseye looks pretty accurate to me. Yeah, after all those years. All right, let's bring it down. Let's try that. Oh, I think I saw that one hit right at the base of it. Okay, so I think I was shooting over. Don't you get tired every week having to try to figure out where to hold? Go through that process. Yeah, that's the way it is. You're with me. It's the way it is when you have so many firearms. You know, I had no idea. It's one thing, it's a Magnum. I don't know. Mostly I shoot Magnums, I guess, in this one. I don't know. Okay, I think I know where to hold. We'll see. I didn't mean for that one to go off yet. Huh. I think I'm just not seeing where it's going. Let's try something close here. Let's back up here. Plan B. All right. Right in the center. Who knows? Oh, okay. I was dead wrong. I needed to hold higher. I needed to hold higher. I held but and that's what I do. You all know that. You've been out here on Sundays often enough, and the regular videos, it happens too sometimes. Windage, all my guns, windage, there's no windage that's way off or off as far as I know. But on elevation, you haven't fired a gun for a while, because they're just different. And depending on what load you're shooting, you know, the drop on the bullet and all that, especially if you get out distance, 80 yards. So, you know, you saw me, I shot several shots there. And I was holding kind of on the bottom and then higher up on it, then lower, and I was just missing every single one. But that last shot, and I'm not going to blame it on this old ammo at all. It might be lighter because it's been, I don't know, the weather and all that. But you know, it generally doesn't affect the accuracy. Wow, that chamber's unusually tight or something. Okay, let's try that again. I'm gonna go higher like I was. Yeah, I know where to hold now. Okay, how about you, cowboy? Yeah. Click. So that's part of the fun, figuring it out. Okay, this is a nice revolver. I don't have to tell you, it's a 629, and this is a 629 no dash. Okay, pinned and recessed. So that tells you what? Nothing. Well, if you know Smith & Wessons a little bit, it tells you, some of you, it tells you a lot. You have some of these, you've studied them a little bit, and you know that the stainless, the 629, came along when? Around 1980, 81 or somewhere. And and then it's still pinned and recessed. So they started making them in stainless around 1980, something like that. And all the Smiths like this were pinned and recessed, and the Magnums, you know, recessed cylinders and the pin barrel, up through about 81, something like that, 82 maybe, I don't know, longer in there. But anyway, you got that window of that small window of time. So if you ever see, you know, a 357 Magnum, 44 Magnum, a Smith & Wesson, kind of a vintage one, that is stainless, but yet it is pinned and recessed, That tells you it's a kind of a narrow window. It must have been made in the early 80s because there weren't many stainless ones. Not all that many. There were quite a few, but not tens of thousands, I guess, or hundreds of thousands of them in stainless that were pinned in recess, because they quit doing that not too long after they started making them in stainless. The point of all that. Okay. So this is cool. It's a cool gun. One of Elmer Keith's favorite, 4-inch model 29 or 629. Did he have a 629? I don't know if he had the stainless versions, but he liked a 4-inch 44 Magnum Smith. That was one of his favorite packing around the ranch firearms. And it's kind of a do-all firearm, powerful enough to do about anything you need. And then you can have fun with it and shoot lighter loads, specials, or whatever, like I'm doing right now. Yeah. Boy, those are some ancient silver tips also in that box. Let's fire a couple of those. You want to? Even though they're silver tips, I wouldn't probably. They're so old I wouldn't carry them. They've been out in the weather forever too, so I wouldn't necessarily trust my life to them. Okay. All right, we got a Smith & Wesson. Turns counterclockwise. Since it's a hollow point, let's try a 2-liter. About another one. Yeah. How about another one? Can't shoot another one. We just had 2 in there. All right. Yeah, might as well shoot up this old ammo. You folks that have been shooting for a long time and accumulate a lot of ammo and reloads and all that kind of thing, I sometimes, what ends up happening, you know what I'm talking about, if you hand load and you've got a lot of different calibers and you shoot a lot, and you come home, you got this, and you end up with a box, a shoe box or something over here, or a cigar box or some kind of container with a few rounds of 40 Smith & Wesson in it, and then a handful of rounds of 45 Colt or whatever. Maybe you realize, I had some more in my pocket or over here, and I've already put those boxes away, and I'll put them in this dish for now, whatever. So you end up with that dish for now with 100 rounds of various ammo, and then more than that maybe. And I'll eventually come out, just go out shooting and grab a bunch of that and shoot it up. Kind of what I'm doing now, I guess. Let's shoot some of the Steinel. Yeah, ain't that a pretty bullet? That a pretty 44 Special. 44 Special is special. It really is. Very pleasant to shoot. And, but yet it's ballistically about equivalent to a 45 ACP. Boys and girls, so don't let anybody tell you that 44 Special is useless. Now it depends on the round, but yeah, bullseye, accurate stuff. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's put the last one on the gong. I'll hold the same area and see if it hits it. I think that might have gone over it. I was holding about the same place. Okay. So, pretty cool. That powder smells different, I can tell some powder just by the smell of it. Like the Unique 2400, you can just tell what kind of gunpowder it is. And that's not a joke. I mean, you really can if you've been shooting a long time. Now, a lot of powder I can't. But there's some powders that I've used so much of and has maybe a little more of a distinct odor. I can tell what it is. So we need to shoot this 30-30. Any lies I need to tell you while we're out here? Got to make sure I gab a lot, right? It's Sunday. Too bad about Jimmy Buffett, right? One of the soundtracks of my youth, and many of you as well, right? That's the thing. As you get older, a lot of the people that you know, and people in the public eye, die off. We got a lot of musicians that we've all grown up with that are really getting up there in years. Paul McCartney, Mick Jagger, we could name them all day long, and it's well, it's sad. And I remember when John Lennon died. There were a lot of people, this is pre-internet, it was 1980. There were, you know, people, what's the big deal? He's just a guitar player. You know, there was talk radio at that time. And I remember one particular Nashville host, you know, what's the big deal? He was just a guitar player, and everybody's acting like the Pope died or whatever, you know. Well, you know, that's kind of short-sighted. You know, when you have grown up, you think about music especially, anything but music, it has a profound effect on most people. You know, when you think about the bands, the music, whoever it was, whether it's Elvis or the Beatles or Liberace or whoever, when you were a teenager, that you were listening to and hearing a lot of on the radio or on your record player or whatever, that's big. That's big. It's just part of your being, part of your youth. Like last week I was talking about, you know, we are part of all we've met, you know, and that's a big part of our lives, the music, you know. It brings back memories. Think about it, you hear a song, it takes you back to wherever. When you were in high school, a junior, sitting in the gymnasium or whatever, it takes you to a dance, or it takes you to an old girlfriend or boyfriend or something. You know, it really does, doesn't it? And I grew up, you know, my teen years were the Beatles, you know, and Elvis too, but the Beatles and the country music that I got a lot of at home. But in terms of rock, you know, it was the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, and everybody else, Led Zeppelin, you name it. The British invasion, the 60s. I'm a child of the 60s. I'm a hippie, and you didn't know it. But anyway, Jimmy Buffett came a little bit later. He hit it big. What was it, early 70s, like, wasn't it? Really early 70s. Oh, no. Yeah, I know. What was it, Come Monday? What was the name of that song? And then, of course, Margaritaville. But, yeah, he wasn't with that big wave in the 60s, as I recall. Maybe the very end or early 70s, I think. But oh, man, who doesn't know Jimmy Buffett, Margaritaville, and other songs? Unbelievable. He moved to Nashville. Wow, it was in the 90s. Sometime in the 90s. I don't remember which year. It seemed like it was early to mid 90s. And where I was teaching in Nashville, a private school, and his daughter Savannah went there for a year. She was in my class, and I saw him a couple times. Never really talked to him. He would come around occasionally and come to the tennis matches. I think she played tennis, and but I didn't ever. He was one of the parents that I never really have a conversation with, as I recall. But yeah, he's gone. Amazing, huh? It's amazing. So let's shoot something. How about this 30-30? All right. Oh man. 94, model 94. How many deer have been taken with model 94s and bear and everything else? 30-30 is an underrated round. Most people will tell you that. We have so many great cartridges. You know, 30-06, you name it, 308, all these Magnum cartridges, Weatherby cartridges, powerful guns, but so I think we tend to think of the 30-30 as some little wimp round, you know, if we're not careful. It's not a wimp round, not at all. It's pretty cool, actually, and you definitely would not want to be in the path of one, would you? All right. Now, what makes the 30-30 particularly special is a firearm like this. Wow. Okay. What do we want to shoot? How about that turkey down in the hall? You notice I painted them red this week. They show up a little better. See? Shows what I know. I thought white was the answer, but it's not. All right. There we go. Third time's a charm. You got to bracket those babies. So yeah, 30-30's got some punch to it, and really does. And you know, you can get it in these what are they called, lever evolution, whatever rounds that you can put them in a magazine, lever gun magazine. I always get those wrong. Not, is it lever evolution? Lever evolution, I guess. But they have a kind of a, they have a tip on them, but it's rubber, and so they fly better. Yet you can still put them in a tubular magazine because that rubber, it's kind of a soft rubber against the primer ahead of it, is not going to fire that primer. And so, you know, they make those in 4570, I think, and several chamber. I guess they still make those. I don't know. So there are options. You can get a little bit better ballistic, you know, performance out of a 30-30. The thing is, in a part of the country where I live, and I don't hunt, but a lot of people do deer hunt in woods like this, and most of your shots are not going to, you know, you can't see more than, I can do a 360 here, and you know, you see the deer on our range all the time, right? There's not going to be a deer, if I were a deer hunter, there's not going to be a shot more than really 80 yards, you know. So a gun like this, 30-30, is a nice rifle. Now there are fields where you have open fields, of course. You might have a couple hundred yards. But that's why firearms like this, or a Model and 336, have been so popular and successful east of the Mississippi. You know, that's the river for my relatives in Kentucky, the Mississippi River, right? Yeah. What else? Oh man, I sent all my quarterly tax. Many of you probably did too. If you pay quarterly tax, if you have any kind of business or an LLC, I'm just glad, because I pay my taxes religiously. You know, I don't need any grief ever from that. I overpay, if anything. Things I could deduct, I probably don't sometimes. But I think one reason I don't mind paying the incredibly high taxes that I pay is our government demonstrates over and over how wisely they use our money, right? So why should it bother me? Yes, that was sarcasm. Yep, I sent that check in, and you don't want to mess with the IRS. That's for sure. Yeah, I don't know. They get, you know, like, I talked to that guy this past week, that music sensation, Oliver Anthony. I had a chat with him, communication on Facebook, and then chatted with him, you know, on the phone for a good while. Good guy. He's a good dude, and he's been a viewer of the videos for a good while and everything. We may do a video together sometime. I don't know, but it's great to see some music, whether you like it or not, or maybe something about it even offends you. I don't know, but now I don't want to put him in a category of Bob Dylan. Okay, Bob Dylan is he is my idol. Bob Dylan is a god. Okay, small g. No, I really did. I really have just loved Bob Dylan's music and his writing, you know, forever. But he just wrote whatever came to his mind, you know, and he didn't have a beautiful singing voice, you know, or anything like that. It was the writing, it was the content, what he had to say. Bob Dylan did, and I didn't always agree with him, you know, but I don't know how we would have gotten along over a cup of coffee or a beer, you know. But I was just always impressed with his writing. A lot of it really was truly poetry. I mean, listen to Desolation Row or just any number of them. But anyway, again, not to put Anthony, Chris in that category necessarily yet. I don't know. And of course, a totally different genre and everything. But it's great to see somebody singing songs, just kind of writing from the heart and saying what they want to say, and saying things that a lot of people are afraid to say, you know. That wouldn't say, because it would never get published by a mainstream publisher, right? So it's kind of cool. Today we don't have as many gatekeepers. You can kind of do what you want to do, right? We all have some limitations, just like we do doing these videos. We're sort of our own publisher, but still, wherever you're posting it, you know, they have rules and regulations, right? That's why everything we publish lately gets it doesn't get monetized. I mean, almost nothing. It's like about 1 out of 10. But anyway, another topic. But anyway, yeah, it was good to talk to him. I'm impressive fellow. Um, there's something else about that I was going to say, but it probably was a lie. Uh, yeah, whatever. So what do you want me to shoot now? Let's shoot. Let's shoot a couple of jacketed rounds through here. I think these are jacketed precision ammunition, coated maybe at least. Sometimes I don't know. Is it jacketed or is it just coated? 44 special. This is if you've got a yen for a big bore Smith & Wesson revolver, but you shot a buddy's 44 Magnum and it was no fun. I don't enjoy that, whatever. So I'd love to have a Model 29 or something like that, but man, it hurt. And I couldn't hit a barn with that thing. It kicked so much, or whatever it might be. But you really want a big bore. Well, 45 Colt's a good option because it's not quite as bad. 44 Special is very pleasant to shoot. And it's just an idea, a thought. If you're dying for a 629 or a 4-inch gun like this, a new one, they still make them, right? Or whatever. Just always remember 44 Special makes it very, very pleasant to shoot, okay? Not pleasant to buy, but pleasant to shoot because it's expensive ammo. What do you think, cowboy? Yeah. What do you think, Gong? I'm not going to give up on you. There we go. Yep, I guarantee you I'll hit it on this shot too because I'm holding where I need to hold. Just barely above it. See, what did I tell you? Once you know where to hold, you can do it. Click. Gun smoking. Okay. 44. 44 Special is special. Okay, young people, I got any advice for you? Probably not. I tell you, I heard a line on. I was working and some interview with someone had written a book, I think, I don't know, for young people, and they were putting the emphasis on about, what do you want to be when you grow up? We always ask young people that. And she said, I think the title of the course or the book or whatever was not, what do you want to be when you grow up? It was, who do you want to be when you grow up? And she was emphasizing that. I thought, that's a good thought. That's a good thought, good point. Who do you want to be? That's really important and more important than what do you want to be? What do you want to be when you grow up? You want to be a slacker looking for an opportunity to steal things from a Walgreens or a Walmart? Someone who lives an envious life, whatever. A life of envy, okay? A life of lawlessness, hating on everybody, life of a troll. I mean, what do you want to be when you grow up? And, I thought that was a great thought because once you figure out how to behave and someone try to create a personality, a person of integrity, you might have an easier time figuring out what you're going to do in life. Once you figure out who you are, what you want to be, what do you want to be? Do you want to be a person with integrity and honesty and all that? And it might open some doors that wouldn't be open, right, for you otherwise. Showing, demonstrating, proving that you're someone who can be trusted, for example, and you have a responsibility, you can handle responsibility and all those sorts of things. And you just don't know, what doors might open from because of that. People see it. People can tell the sort of person you are, and that's pretty important. I thought that was a good lesson. It was good. I don't remember whether it was a book or what, but it was the focus on who do you want to be when you grow up rather than what do you want to be, you know. So that was pretty good. Something to think about, right? Don't think too hard. I try not to. See if there's anything that, no announcements or anything I gotta show. No, right, okay. Yeah, you know, one thing it dawned on me about this when I was getting it out today, this rifle made in 1929. Some of you can appreciate the significance of 1929, right? Or your parents or grandparents or great-grandparents can. Yeah, right. Great Depression kicked off, right? Exciting times from the Roaring 20s into the Great Depression, 1929. I was thinking, and that crosses my mind sometimes. I think I've talked about that in videos maybe. Like Colt single action I had was made in 1874 or 1883. You know, the guys, you know, would have been guys that worked on that at the Colt factory that day. You know, 1874, 1883, working on that Colt. They didn't leave work that day and get on a bus or get in their car and drive home. You know, got on a horse, maybe rode home or walked home, depending where they lived. But you know, it's just interesting to think about. They weren't preoccupied with checking their texts and their email, you know, while they're at work on a break. They weren't pulling their phone out, you know, to see who was trying to communicate with them and who they might need to text or email during a break, right? Yeah, 1874, 1880s. Yeah. Anyway, this struck me with this too. 1929. You know, the stock market crashed, and I think right at the end of September, wasn't it, or in October mainly. And by mid-November or whatever, you know, a lot of the damage was done. But so I don't know the exact month that this was made. Probably, odds are, before the crash. So whoever was working on this was thinking about whatever they were thinking about. 2 or 3, maybe lots of people. Some were working on the wood and barrel and the finish and everything. So it'll just be another day, another year. You know, they're thinking about Christmas coming up maybe, or Halloween coming, you know, or maybe it was in, I don't know, the spring or in the summer they were building this one. I have to look that up, see if I can. I think you can get close to the month maybe. And little did they know, in a short period of time, they were going to be living through one of the greatest financial calamities of all time, you know, in history. But anyway, I think they got this built before that, so that's the important thing, right? And again, I think it's a pre-64 Winchester. Yeah, pre-64, steel receiver. 64, they changed to an alloy receiver and something, cut some costs, and that's why when you hear about a pre-64 Winchester, doesn't mean those after 64 are junk. They're going to work just as well, from what I understand. But they went to alloys, and it didn't take the finish as well, especially early on, some things like that. And it really put a bad taste in people's mouth there for a period of time. I think people don't worry about it as much now. The 94s work whenever they were made. But in terms of a collectible, it's cool. And I don't have a lot of Model 94s. I didn't even plan to have, I didn't have a 94 for a long time. And I thought, well, if I'm going to get one, and I think I'll look for a pre-90, pre-64. Not that it has to be that, but it's like kind of a why not, you know. It's just, if I'm going to have one, and I have to confess, I thought the one would be fine, but when I saw this one, this Tulsa, right, with octagonal barrel, and, you know, I had to have 2. But, you know, since I'm not a Winchester collector, I don't, you know, need to have 35 of them. The one I have, or the 2, I thought it'd be cool to have pre-64. They're neat. That were Winchester when Winchester was Winchester. You know, so many of the gun companies have gone out of business or changed names and you know, moved and all that. It's just it's sad in a lot of ways. But it's like, well, the various names. There's some confusion, right? Like Henry is a new company. It's had nothing to do with the early days of the Henry rifle with Winchester in 1860. The Henry Rifle Company that repeating right, whatever they're called now, that make great guns, but they have nothing to do with the original Henry rifle. You all know that. Same with Springfield Armory. That has nothing to do with the Garand you might own, or the '03 Springfield. That was the military armory, okay? The U.S. Armory that made those, like Harper's Ferry. The company, Springfield Armories in Illinois, it's a different company. So, enough history. Can I shoot shoot the Winchester. Yeah, that's what we're yakking about it before I let you go. Okay. All right. Yeah, there we go. It's like there's something else about the internet I was going to blab about. I'll tell you, the weather today is beautiful. I don't know if you can tell. Well, you can tell what it looks like, but the temperature is nice, and it's just sweet. Not very humid, really. Busy week. Man, I'm back. We had some tree surgeons around this week. Yeah. Take some trees out before they fell on my car, or before they might fall on my car. All right, you know what? I think I need to do a little more buffalo hunting. It probably went low. Yep. It did. Right. Oh, I see a 2-liter down here. Wow, turned him into mist. And let's do a little bowling. I can't shoot the cowboy at this range, not with a 30-30. One thing about the color on targets, we've had a lot of comments over the years. People ask about the color. Why don't you paint them white or paint them this color to show up better? And it's a funny thing. Sometimes white will show up the very best, and sometimes black shows up very well. Generally speaking, it's the color that shows up just fine. And originally, now I could paint them pink and fluorescent orange and all that, but I don't know. I don't want a hill full of fluorescent orange targets just so they can see them better. I do like to simulate, even though I don't hunt, kind of like an IPSC course or something. You're kind of simulating defensive stuff, and it's kind of like, well, pretend I'm hunting buffalo. Got a buffalo over there, and it's like black or brown or something. It just seems more appropriate rather than having a pink buffalo over there, or even white, targets. So anyway, kind of settle on most targets. This black's nice. They kind of blend in, but you can still see them. Red's a little bit of a stretch, but the red over here, I think it shows up better than white and maybe better than black. I don't know. A lot of it depends on the shade, whether you have sun on the range or not. There's a lot of factors like that. There for a period of time, some of you have been with us forever, will remember I had targets painted kind of a butterscotch, kind of a yellowish butterscotch, and they showed up quite well. Even on the main range, I had a butterscotch color, but and most of you probably run across a video with that, but the paint was really hard to cover. That's the other thing. I'm not charging you for this paint information, but some paint, I've talked about that with red especially, it doesn't cover as easily, and the paint doesn't last as well. You can have a can of black paint and lay it out here in the winter and pick it up 6 months later, and it just usually works just fine. Something about red, because we use more red than any other color other than black, and it gets weird. We've wasted cans of paint, be halfway through it, and it just doesn't want to come out, and it's plugged up more easily and all that. It's weird. But then also, some paint is harder to cover. You know, you get a lot of hits on a target, and black just covers very quickly. It doesn't take a lot of paint to cover those hits. And repaint the whole target if you need to. Red takes a little more, not as much pigment, I guess, in red. And then with that yellow, that butterscotchy color we used, wow, I would have to spray that. So it would take a whole can to repaint the cowboy, it seemed like, you know, to get it to cover well. So you got that issue going with different colors, and it just wasn't worth it. They showed up too much. I don't want them jumping out at you, like I say. Fluorescent orange would be the extreme end of that scale. But it's nice to have something that's subdued, but yet you can see it, you know. I don't know. Yeah, to each his own. So anyway, you know, that's all I got today, man. I have nothing of use. Been a busy week. Enjoyed shooting. Like I said, I've been shooting a lot of different firearms. John's M60, and you'll see some shorts and different things we'll post from that. The AK, the full auto AK. I did a video. We did a little short, you know, with the AK and M16. Did also a regular video comparing them. I was looking at that the other day, and kind of over talked in that video. But I think I eventually, even though it was long, I think I pointed out the differences as I see them between an AK and an M16. Okay, and we had to kind of compromise. John, someone he had work on the M16, didn't get the buffer tube back or whatever, so we left it in the carbine format, kind of the XM 177 format, more or less. And I call that an M16 all the time, and people, that's an M4. Remember what we've got on it. Well, it's actually an M16 lower that John has. It's the only one he has. It's an M16, believe me, it's what it says on the Form 4. It's an M16 with the serial number. Now, as you know, with an AR and an M16, or, you know, with that format of firearm, you can put different uppers on it, and stocks, and, you know, barrels, and all that kind of thing. So you can create really any variation of the M16 back through the years, or M4 that you want to, just about. You know, so it's pretty cool. You can put an A2 upper on it. He's had all that on it. So I still call it an M16, no matter what he's got on it, because it is an M16, just has a different upper, maybe a different stock. You know, so we're not as dumb as we appear, you know, when we name a video. It's just, you got to decide, you know, what we're going to call this. You know, it's not really that, it's not this. It's not even maybe really an M16 looking, but it is an M16. AK brings up the same issues, you know. Well, yeah, I know it's an AKM, or it's not an AK-47. It's a Type 56 AK and all that kind of thing. Generally speaking, I'll just put AK. Gun right, just put AK. You know, some variation of the AK. I see that as kind of like a 1911. You know, there's all sorts of variations of the 1911, but you know, they're all some sort of 1911. It's an A1 or a 2020 or whatever it might be. So anyway, we did a lot with the AK, and in that we did a video comparing them, and it's my perception that, and I've come to terms with what I prefer, what I would prefer to take to battle, if I had to go to battle, AK or M16 or M4, whatever. I would choose the M4. I think I've said that all along, actually. It no matter how much you like the AK and that cartridge and whatever reliability advantage, which some part of that's a myth, I think, but all that aside, wow, it's hard to beat M16 and AR-15, an M4. Wow, the lightweight, accuracy, amount of ammo you can carry, and all that kind of thing. All you have to do is maintain it, and they do just fine. Talk to any soldier. You'll find exceptions, but most of them, by a landslide, will tell you that they work. You know, there have been issues with them over the years, but there was concrete reasons for it, kind of thing. But anyway, so that'll be coming up. I did a lot of shooting the last couple of weeks, and it's kind of nice to get these plain old revolver and lever gun out. It does get any better than a good old vintage Smith & Wesson 44 Magnum. Or if you choose, yep, you're right, 44 Special, right? Yeah, really. A lot of people, I'm talking about random today, but a lot of people regard the 44 Special as like almost a sacred round in terms of accuracy. They really do. They maybe for good reason. There have been articles in gun magazines to that effect for decades about the crazy accuracy of the 44 Special and how shootable it is, and all that kind of thing. And I don't think personally it's probably any more accurate, intrinsically, quote unquote, accurate, than the 44 Magnum and a lot of other rounds, 38 Special, 357, whatever. I think it's just the fact that it's so pleasant to shoot. It's a big round, like 45 ACP, and it's not a lot of recoil. And when you pick up a firearm like this, with any weight to it at all, you know it's not going to jolt you and hurt you. And you're able to just put it wherever you want to. I think that accuracy side of it is really just shootability, Kind of like the difference between an AK and a 5.56 to some extent. You could have an AK or a 30-06 or something it's the same accuracy inherently as a 5.56, but depending on what the guns are, that 5.56 just has almost no recoil, very little recoil at all. It's like 22 long rifle, be the extreme example, and which might not be any more accurate than your 30-06, okay? But when you pick it up and start shooting it, you feel like you can hit anything with it. You don't have that recoil, the blast, and so I think a lot of it is that. We underestimate that factor in shooting, I think. And I guess you could argue that is accuracy. If 99 out of 100 people shoot a 22 more accurately than a 30-06, I mean, I guess in one sense you can say it's more accurate. But not inherently necessarily. If you put the 30-06 in a bench rest and in a vise, a ransom rest or something, and the 22 long rifle in a ransom rest, and you just shot some at paper, could be the 22 is less accurate, shoots a bigger group than the 30-06. But then you pick up both guns and start shooting them, and you're going to possibly have much better groups with a 22. Lack of recoil, lack of blast, it just enhances your accuracy, and your shooting experience, right? It makes it a kinder and gentler shooting experience for you, put it that way. So that's all the lies I got today. I appreciate everybody supporting the channel. I had some work done this week. I say tree topping, and had an electric company over here to take down my electricity so I could trim some trees. Just a lot of people on the place today, and a lot of them are familiar with the videos, and I had a lot of good conversations with all those people, the workmen, the people that go out and work for a living, unlike me, that are up in cherry pickers and risking their lives, sawing off limbs, or playing with electrical wires and all those sorts of things. And gosh, like everybody, like 3-4 different sets of people are familiar with the videos. And so we had some good conversations, and showing how lucky I am to be able to do this for a living, to shoot and bring in different firearms. My hobby, kind of like hitting the lottery in a smaller way, where I get to experience a lot of different firearms and share them with you folks. And because enough of you come to watch and support the channel, that we're able to do it. And it's just, I never take it for granted. I never do. It's been a long time, 16, 17 years doing this. I still enjoy it, and I still don't take it for granted, not one day. And I can't tell you how many times, and someone said that this week, about, doesn't it bother you when people come up to you, because it happened in a clothing store this week, in different places, restaurants, doesn't and I've had several people say that to me over the years, say, then it really bothers you. Then that's got to be the worst part of this, or whatever. Are you kidding? I mean, I without hesitation, I say, are you kidding? These are the people who watch the videos. These are the people that enable me, and I'm talking about you all, that enable me to do this for a good living. Yeah, to shoot. Yeah, really, some bother. Yeah, quit bothering me. You gave me a career, you know, or whatever, a fourth career, a fifth career, whichever career it is, you know. And you turned my hobby into a career. You should feel really bad about that, buddy. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, speaking of sarcasm, well, I won't get into that. You know, some people just don't get sarcasm. Some people, but before I get into that thought, again, really do appreciate your support and meeting so many of you last weekend. It was great. Really appreciate it. But you know, sometimes I am sarcastic, or I'll say something and people won't get it. There's a FedEx guy over there pulling backing in, and sometimes it's something that you want to just, what? You want to pull your hair out, you know, like, how can anybody be that clueless, you know? For one thing, it's kind of like when I was teaching, and yeah, you do that for 29 years, and you're going to say something where, and I don't mean in the new woke era, which that would happen every day, right? But you know, just, you're yakking all day, teaching literature, you're talking literature, you're going to say something that maybe somebody misunderstands or takes offense, and Mommy, Mr. So-and-so said, you know, so yeah, a handful of times in 30 years, you know, you get that. And then, you know, you explain what, you know, they must have misunderstood or something. It's not a big deal. And one thing I would say to parents, like, for one thing, I hope someone puts me out of my misery, you know, permanently, if my life is so small that I ever intentionally try to, like, mistreat a 13-year-old, you know, say something to offend a 13-year-old, and you know, that kind of thing. And it's the same way online. If I were ever to leave a comment on your video or our videos or wherever, I'm not going to choose, or I wish I had a muffler like that. I am not going to choose that forum to be now, it might be a little bit of a smart aleck if someone's really a troll, you know, that kind of thing. But, you know, you would know that. You would recognize it. But I'm not going to, if I'm trying to be funny, just know I'm trying to be funny. I might not have been funny. It might have been a feeble attempt at trying to be funny, or a feeble attempt at humor. But, you know, just know that was the intent, right? Even when I'm sarcastic or make jokes about people in Kentucky or whatever, my relatives, and I'm from Kentucky, whatever I do, you would, and you all know that. You all know that. It's like somebody you know. It should be. I'd like to think it's like that. Somebody you maybe in your family, or somebody you've worked with for 20 years, and I don't know, maybe it's something that comes across in an email or something they said, you know, or whatever it might be, that really sounds mean and totally out of character or something. Well, what's your first thought? Oh, wait a minute. I must be misreading this, because I know this person. That doesn't sound like them. Or they didn't mean it that way. You know, you sort of give people the benefit of the doubt, you know, at least once, right? You know, it could be they're just getting senile, like me and some others, and they don't know what they're saying. But anyway, I can't get off on another topic, right? Because I got to let you all go. But I really do appreciate you all, and I'm yakking now, and I'm rambling, and that's what I do best. Maybe what I need is a shot of water to refresh my brain, right? So I will talk to you all later, hopefully next week. And again, don't forget the 23rd of September. Hope to see you in Greenville, Kentucky at Uncle Lee's, which is owned by Bud's Gun Shop, right? And I think I thanked everybody I wanted to thank. Balsall, Talon Grips. In fact, I think that was a set of Talon Grips maybe coming over there. But they didn't back in and drop anything off. No. Yeah, well, anyway. So I'm in good shape now. I got my phone secured. Now you watch, somehow I'll manage to break it, and I'll just drop it after I pull it out, right? But it's a thought. I don't know if you carry. How many do y'all carry holster? Your phone in a holster? I don't. I don't see that big a percentage of people carrying their phones in holster. It's just easier. Most people, and John and me, most of my life, just put in my pocket, or my shirt pocket. Where I get into trouble though is in my shirt pocket. It's so convenient because in your pants pocket, it's just harder to get to sometimes, and you're sitting down and everything. So I just put it in my shirt pocket. Can't stand to have a t-shirt without a shirt pocket. I made a mistake of buying a couple of t-shirts at Duluth is where I get my t-shirts now generally. And I bought 2 or 3 quickly. I was up in northern Kentucky this summer, and I ran in there and bought 3 t-shirts. I'm so concerned about getting the long tail and the right size, the right sleeve length, short sleeve length, all that kind of thing. I didn't even notice they didn't have a pocket. That's tragic for me. Tragic. I keep a pen in my to-do list, there. I used to keep my phone there a lot. But so anyway, it's so simple to have in your pocket like that. But you bend over and maybe it slides out, like it happened to me. So anyway, I'm experimenting, and I am using a phone holster. And you know what I'm gonna do? Since I've yacked so much, too much, I'm gonna shoot 6 more before I let you go. I want you to see some ballistic adventure here. I'm going to shoot these silver tips that are, wow, shame they don't put dates on brass, right? There's no telling how old these things are. Then I'm going to let you get out of here. All right, what should we shoot? How about the SDI badge? Yeah, Alabama holster badge. And how about a couple of plates? Getting dirty. Click. All right. Oh, I had one left. I got past it when it was hanging up on me. Cowboy, you get the last round. Yep. Right in the neck. All right. So she's all dirty, but she'll clean up like a new one. I'll spray it down like I do as soon as we finish here, by the way. Maybe that's what I should do one Sunday, is just let the camera run and show you what I do when you all leave. One of the first things is I spray down my guns liberally. Yep. Not politically speaking. And because the sooner you get it started, the easier they are to clean. Really. Get some down those chambers. Yeah. And then try to get that on my beautiful thing. On the rifles, I usually wait to get over, so I don't have a spout on this one, so I don't get it all over places. I don't need to get it all over. But on a handgun, when it gets so filthy, it's good to go ahead and soak them down a little bit, and you find that they clean up more easily. They really do. So I'm gonna let you go for real this time, and I'll see you next Sunday here, hopefully in the woods. Life is good.